Good morning, folks. I want to try to explain some atomic stuff for you, just like the basic way to understand atomics. A good drill to start is just recognizing that you can bend the top out. Let's start with the buzzsaw. And then you bend the top out, right? So buzzsaw, top bent out so that they're 90 degrees perpendicular to each other, and you can bring your hands together, and now you have an atomic buzzsaw. You can take that and bend the bottom out. Bring your hands together, you have the other atomic buzzsaw, right? These are both moving in forward, so I can just switch the direction and do the same thing. Top out, hands together, reverse buzzsaw. Bottom out, and reverse buzzsaw. So that's two variations, right? Forward and reverse, valley and mountain mode. Then you can do the same thing with the point moving in opposite directions, right? This one in my hand, right hand's going in reverse, so then bring them together, one hand on top of the other, one hand on top of the other, and then we can do it this way. Bend the bottom out, one hand on top of the other, one hand on top of the other, and then we do the thing where we switch directions. Same kind of thing here. Oops. And then same kind of thing here. Bottom and down. Right? So those are the main variations of the atomic buzzsaw. Mess around with turning with that, right? Because if you take the top, bend the top out, bring them together, and turn around, you'll notice now it's reversed. My reverse valley mode correlates with my forward my forward valley mode correlates with my reverse mountain mode, and vice versa, right? So there's a correlation there. That's up to you to figure out. I'm sure that it'll click. It's a subtlety, but it's important for reasons like this is valley mode, right? So with valley mode, I can take this hand, do a tracer like that. But mountain mode, I can't do that because the point will hit my body. So it's a similar looking thing, mountain mode, valley mode, but in valley mode I can do this move. Whereas in mountain mode, that move is inaccessible. I can do different traces with mountain mode, but I can't do that particular move. So that's something to keep in mind when you're trying to figure out an atomic move. You got to really know, is it in mountain mode? If I cross my hands, is the nexus on top? Or is it in valley mode? If I cross my hands, is the nexus on the bottom? That's on you. Explore it, figure it out. It's a fun thing to figure this stuff out, right? So the next thing is we got to think about the orientation, right? Well, here, let's do polarity first. If this was an orbit, this side would be moving down while this one moved up. This side would be moving right while this one moved left. So each side has a relationship of opposites, right? So that's how we can kind of create a metric or whatever to figure this out. So if this was moving towards you and this was moving towards you, this would be moving away, this would be moving away. So I have positive, negative, clashing, right? So there's also a point here and a point here. You can use that for time into direction. If both point heads meet this point at the same time, we're in same time. If one's here and one's here, split time. If one's here and one's there, quarter time. So we can use that to figure out timing and the direction. We're just use orientation. So it's like you could say, positive on the top quadrant, valley mode. Positive on the left quadrant, mountain mode. And so you can describe how the atom is oriented, and you can orient yourself to the atom however you want. So it's like it gets a little slippery if you don't fix some aspects of the variables, then it becomes chaos, right? And so that's one of the reasons I love atoms, because it makes bending and breaking, it gives you a point, so bam, bam. Now I'm at a point I can stop and I know what's going on, right? They're moving in the same quadrant, they're moving in opposite quadrants. I can mesh up here, you can mesh down here, and then you can just go back into your breaks or your bends or whatever. But that gives you something to do in these intermediate points. You can stop and have an atomic thing. You don't have to bend back to horizontal or vertical. You can maintain that X, right? And then another thing to think about, how many ways can you orient that X to yourself, right? So this is tilted, right? There's the crosshair one. If I keep rotating, it's tilted again, but now I have the polarity is on one side or the other instead of up and down. You know, I can also think about, like, here's a circle. They're perpendicular to each other, but one's diagonal. How the hell would you get to this, right? Well, box mode breaks. So you can move through these box mode breaks and end up with a diagonal versus vertical atom, right? You can end up with a vertical versus vertical atom. You can end up with your normal orbits in either direction, right? Diagonal versus diagonal. You can have any number of combinations of how these things end up with each other, right? But every time it becomes an atom, it is this. There's a positive, a negative, and a 2 mixed, and it's going to be somewhere oriented to you in some fashion, and the poi will be passing their shared axis, same, quarter, split, whatever. So with all of those variables and all of those words to describe what the hell the poi are doing, you should be able to start piecing together how the atomic world for poi spinning operates. Once you explore it, you'll become more familiar with some of the rules, and then once you become familiar with the rules, then you can start breaking the rules or bending the rules or stretching things out or whatever. It's on you, you know. This is like the one that I love the most, right? Valley mode, forward, all of these variables here, and then you can use breaks in the box mode to mess around with this, and bends. Like you can bend through the triangle right now. Here's like my polarity is lateral, right? Then I go through this bend here. Now my polarity is, my positive's on top, my negative's on bottom, and then I can go bam, switch it again. Now my positive is on my right and my negative's on my left. So with bends or breaks, you can, ooh, that was ugly. You can change the orientation of your atoms and just start exploring, creating patterns and having fun. There's a cool thing with the atoms. You do create patterns, like, you know, a big X or whatever, and there's some visible patterns that you can emphasize. But there's also like a lot of the audience members don't care about geometry, you know? And so if you have a lot of in-swings and inside plane stuff, and the flames are getting close to your body and seem to be maniacally flailing around you, but not touching you or burning you, it's like fire bending. You don't need patterns to do cool looking shit. And atomic stuff is cool looking shit. So hopefully this gives you a good foundation on how to understand what the hell is going on when you're operating in perpendicular planes. I'm sure as you explore it, it'll start to click because these rules are consistent. So once you know it, you'll see it everywhere. I hope that's everything. And I hope that makes it easier to start exploring this world and, you know, have fun.